Let's talk about cofunctions. First, let's just play with a right triangle and see what a cofunction is. So if I would say to you, let's find the sine of 50 degrees. Well, if we look at our right triangle and we see there's 50 degrees, and we know that the sine is opposite over the hypotenuse. Well, the opposite side is A, and the hypotenuse is C. So the sine of 50 degrees for our particular right triangle is A over C. Now, I ask you to think, is there any other way that we could come up with the ratio A over C? A over C. And maybe your brain is saying, well, if I look at this 40-degree angle, I have the adjacent side and the hypotenuse. That should trigger maybe something in your head that says, hey, the cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. So that means the cosine of 40 degrees is also A over C. Meaning, sine and cosine are what we call cofunctions. When you have cofunctions, in this case, sine and cosine, the 2-degree measurements will be complementary, meaning they will add to 90 degrees. If you look at our values, 50 plus 40 gives you 90. And that's because we are dealing with right triangles, and the two angles that are not the right angle will always add to 90 degrees. So the cofunctions, sine and cosine, go together. Tangent and cotangent, secant and cosecant. All right, so if you can keep that in mind, it makes finding the cofunctions just a little bit easier. So let's do a couple. We're going to write each function in terms of its cofunction. So the first one is the sine of 37 degrees. So think, the cofunction of sine is cosine. To find the degree measurement, we know that 37 plus whatever our degree measurement is, together, they have to be 90 degrees. Okay, well, if I solve for that, I get 53. So the cofunction of sine of 37 degrees would be the cosine of 53 degrees. Let's look at the next one. Secant of 82 degrees. Well, the cofunction of secant is cosecant. And if I take 90 degrees and subtract the 82 that I'm given, I have 8. So the cofunction would be the cosecant of 8 degrees. And the last one, I have cotangent of 7. Well, the cofunction of cotangent is just the tangent. And if I'm given 7, I'm going to take 90 minus 7 and I get 83. So tangent of 83 degrees would be the cofunction of the cotangent of 7.